telemedicine and introducing that and making sure it's going well and being done properly, is we're going to look at first of all, when patients are coming into you, you obviously want to make sure that telemedicine is the right choice for them, because it's not always the case that a video call is going to solve the problems that the patient is coming to you with. In the worst case scenario, it's going to be totally inappropriate. And even in the best case scenario, it may be that it's just a stopgap. So what we're going to look at is, how you can understand what's in that regard and what you can then go and do about it. We're going to look at balancing your schedule. So it can be that telemedicine can be quite a disruption. So it certainly throws you off from your usual way of doing things, and you certainly want to give yourself as much time and preparation to be able to do this properly as you can. So what I normally advise is making sure that you balance your schedule accordingly and make a few adjustments here and there that we're going to discuss, just to make sure that you do actually maintain that level of quality that you're used to providing through telemedicine, as well as your usual physical appointments. Which would bring me on really to your workspace and kind of how you run your workspace and everything about that, because it's a little bit different when you don't have your usual team around you. You may be actually working completely remotely, or your team may be, and it's sometimes hard to get the same level of support from your colleagues as you might otherwise, just because you're not physically together. We're definitely going to be looking at how telemedicine can be kept simple, because I found that one of the main problems that people have is that they overcomplicate it, or they provide it to patients in a way that the patients don't really understand what to do, or they have technical difficulties and all sorts. So we're going to look at how to keep it simple, how to keep it secure, and make sure that it runs as smoothly as possible. And lastly, we're going to look at billing as well, because of course with telemedicine, it's a little bit different in terms of billing, because it's not like the patient's going to come to you and you can physically, hand them a card reader or something like that. And it's worth considering how you might actually be going about billing them, whether in advance or afterwards, or so on. So I'll just show you a few virtual solutions to that as well. So screening and suitability to start with. So you first need to ascertain, really, of course, whether the person is suitable as a patient for video consultations or not. So if they've got a condition that warrants a physical examination, regardless of the situation, obviously they're not going to be suitable for video consultation. If you're, if they're in extremis, or if they, perhaps they have, certain accessibility issues that would make it more difficult. There are lots of questions there that you can ask with regards to video consulting. And what I would say is that if the person is not suitable for video consultation, that's not really the end of the story. It's not like you're going to offer them a video or nothing. If you do have any capability of having them come in to see you, then it's worth, at the same time, in the same sort of booking form that you'd use as a screening tool, it's worth actually pre-screening for things like COVID-19. So you can actually put your COVID screen at the end of your usual booking form, so that in the event that the person is warranted unsuitable for telemedicine, you can actually say to them, well, look, you filled out the form, you're clearly, you're not showing any symptoms of this, you're able to come in and see us, so why not do that instead? And you can then offer them the chance to do that. So I wonder how many of you at the moment are relying on virtual consulting only, or physical consulting only, or perhaps a mix of both? What's the situation in your clinics at the moment? Okay, so we've got two answers so far, one saying both and the other saying physical at the moment only. Okay, good. So I think that sounds about right. There's generally a mix of situations. It's just good for me to understand, because then I can actually tailor the webinar accordingly. So what I would say is, with telemedicine, obviously, with Medesk, we promote very heavily the idea of online booking, which Christine's going to talk about later, as I've said. And what we do as part of that, aside from the normal screening questions and so on, and general information gathering, what we do is we actually, firstly, we collect the patient's phone number and send them out a one-time password, which I'm sure that Christine will talk about a bit later on. And the idea is to verify that the person's a real patient and they do have access to the phone.